All right, everyone. Defeat for Celtic. Not a very good performance. Not a very good result. Not a very good match at McDiarmid Park as bottom of the league beat top of the league. We're going to discuss it. Stevie, not very good.
No, they weren't. And again, just there's a balance, isn't there, between knowing that it's not the end of the world, but also being fuming and being really angry. The laziness shown, and I guess I'm somewhere in the middle with it. We know that the Celtic side will go on to win the league, but I mean that's motivation today, right there, to do it at Celtic Park. And it's not a case of just. But the thing is, we knew that St Johnstone are fighting for their lives, and they've been terrible this season. They've been chronic, and my thoughts on them. But I always knew we were going to have to go up there and play at the best of their capabilities to win, because they're going to be fighting for every ball today, like we saw. And I think the biggest thing that left me angry after that, Hamish, was the laziness. I thought our attitude, our work rate, the way I applied ourselves today, I thought it was terrible. And it looked as if, the three stands there, almost felt as if some of the players thought, oh, this is just going to be a party atmosphere and it's a procession. Almost as if they've ignored the fact that St Johnstone are in such a perilous position themselves, and these games aren't as straightforward as what sometimes we may think as fans. The players just got so complacent, and again, like we saw against Rangers twice, Hibs already this season, this started to another defeat. And I just thought today's performance was completely unacceptable. I can take a defeat, when you've been maybe robbed, or you can take a defeat if the players have put in a shift in for the 90 minutes. It's just not to be. But we only started playing today about 70 minutes, I would say. It was only 70 minutes that I thought we actually started upping the tempo a wee bit, creating chances. But see, up until then, St Johnstone were really threatened. And yeah, to me today, awful for the players, and the manager himself will have to look at himself after that again.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that, to be honest, all of it, Stevie. Hi everyone, lovely to have you with us. Appreciate you joining us, sticking this out. Shortly after full time, me and Stevie are recording this. I think the players are still on the pitch, Stevie. That's how early we're recording it, so it's pretty raw. I'm mighty glad for my VPN today, Stevie, allowing me to watch that game. Listen, it's not all bad with NordVPN, and you can get all the benefits of NordVPN, like being able to make your phone or laptop appear like it's in another country, making it great for accessing content while travelling. Also protects your personal information and online activity, especially on public Wi-Fi. If you want to try NordVPN for yourself, and so many of you have been doing this recently, our link below will get you, I believe, 74% off their 2-year plans, plus 3 extra months thrown in as well. We've got an exclusive link. It's nordvpn.com/CelticAM, nordvpn.com/CelticAM, and the link is also in the description. But yeah, I've been happier to use a VPN to watch that nonsense. It's funny, Stevie, I went on that great social media website X right after full time just to see what was happening, and a Celtic tweet popped right up. You know how these kind of tweets from a few days ago that Twitter or X thinks will be of some sort of interest to you, and it was a tweet from Celtic and quote from Callum McGregor saying, "Every game now is an opportunity for us to show the type of team we want to be." And then under it says, "Callum McGregor is refreshed, focused and ready to lead Celtic into the business end of the season." And I'm not picking on Callum McGregor specifically, but it's stuff like that, when you see quotes like that from the club followed by a performance like that, it just makes you quite frustrated. As you say, Stevie, context is everything. But everyone knows the context. We're going to win the league. But we're in danger, for me, of turning what I think is for the most part been a really good season, in danger of it really just petering out and turning into a bit of an anticlimax. I think we're probably going to win the league without even playing now. I could be wrong, but I think next Sunday Aberdeen will potentially beat or draw with Rangers, whatever they need for us to win the league, and we might see that. But even next Saturday, what a day that could have been at Celtic Park. You'd have been going along, 60,000 others, chance to win the league at Celtic Park for the first time since the 5-0 Rangers game in 2018. And like the team clearly don't want that opportunity based off that performance there.
Yeah, I don't know what was going through some of their heads for minute one today, but watching it with my granda in the first 5 minutes, in fact, St Johnstone scored, didn't they? I think before that, 4 minutes in, but for the first few minutes, Notice is giving away very stupid free kicks. I think we gave away 2 free kicks on the left-hand side, and then they, of course, get one through a daft mistake for Jeffrey Schlupp. I don't know what he was doing giving away a free kick there, but we did 2 before it, and we didn't look comfortable. I think they had one by the post and one over the bar. And me and my granda said to each other, like, I don't know what we started like this for, because Johnstone looked at the hungrier team. Their attitude looked far better than ours. We looked lazy, apathetic. We just looked as if like we'd rather not be there. And I'm not. I'm going to actually highlight a couple of players, Hamish, so I'm sorry. I don't usually like to do it. It's a collective feeling. But just for minute one, Nicholas Kuhn looked as if he wasn't interested today. I'm certainly pointing fingers at the manager for putting Trusty back in. I know before the game he said that Vrotsky's done nothing wrong and he just wanted a left-footed centre-half there. But I think the Vrotsky, based on the last 2 performances, certainly deserved his start today. And when I seen the longer the game got on, Trusty looked like a liability. Nearly sold it for 2-0 just after 80-odd minutes. I think he looked like a complete mess at times today. Like the amount of times he just let the ball bounce. And
Carter Vickers as well, mate. Like Carter Vickers.
Carter Vickers was awful.
So unlike him. But I mean,
we've been saying that, Hamish. No, we're saying that, but he's been really bad this season for a lot of games as well.
I take your point, but today, like I thought, I mean, I've never seen Carter Vickers get the ball dribbled round him, and it happened a couple of times today. So yeah, weird one.
It is, and I think maybe some players maybe have. They've been great for us, but as I said to you before a couple of weeks ago, have they been here a bit too long? Are they going to improve? And I don't think some players will. I don't think there's about maybe 4 or 5 players in that team that started today that aren't going to get any better. And it's going to be like a really serious summer for us now as well. Huge summer with some of the business we've got to do. But anyway, talking about the start of this game, like me and my granda could just see it coming with how we started. St Johnstone were playing for it. Win set pieces, because you know that we are gullible from it, and see the one that they scored yet again, just like a carbon copy of a few weeks ago against Rangers. Ball into the near post, the boy just gets a free header in, and we're so slow to react to it. And then you contrast it to when we've got a set piece, we don't look like doing anything with it. It's a combination of a ball lofted in to a team that generally aren't very tall. So like the defending team always has an advantage, because 9 times out of 10 they're always going to be clearing it, and we will react to the second ball. That's where we get our goals for a corner, if any. But then you've got ones with like a short corner and it just fizzles out, nothing happens. So really, really awful attitude all over for that team today, and really the buck stops with the manager with it. I think he set out the wrong side, and personally, I wouldn't be starting Trusty today after that. I don't think the Notsky did anything wrong, and I don't think that was the sole reason for our defeat. But when you looked at Carter Vickers today, he looked so shaky. He did. He looked like worse than what he did against Rangers by far, and that's some achievement. But no, all in all, that first half was utterly terrible. No creativity, and just in general, like when it came to the midfield, getting a control of the game, Hamish. Like Engels completely anonymous. Callum McGregor swarmed with 2 men on him at all times, and Hatate was just posted missing as well. And I'm not going to go on one of these like sort of griefy rants that you get, and you know what I mean, they're all clipped and chopped and everything, and everybody's having a laugh. But I think at the same time, you've got to be really honest with yourself and say there's a lot of players on that side that have to have a look at themselves after that today, because we give them so many plaudits when they get a good result, and they've had plenty of us this season. But that's now like 5 I can think of the top of my head this year already in 2025. Well, we're having to come on and criticise them because yet again they just look so brittle, fragile, and at times just completely uninterested.
It's definitely a theme. Listen, at Celtic Park this season, apart from the Derby game, and I'm talking domestically, but apart from the Derby, we've been pretty faultless at Celtic Park. We've been great. Away from home, start of the season we were fine, didn't really have any issues away from home, but in 2025, Stevie, it's been really poor. I'll just run through some of the games here. You've obviously had today losing against the bottom team, St Johnstone. Terrible performance, disjointed, no urgency, as you say, brittle at the back, and we'll come on to it, but like even players that we all love and are playing out of their skin at the moment, Dies and Maida, totally awful today in terms of his build-up. I don't know why I'm laughing. So other recent away games, St Mirren was the previous away game I think we had, and we won that 5-2, but that wasn't a 5-2 game. That was a real match, and again, the things we saw defensively shaky in that game.
And nearly gave away a penalty as well, remember?
Yeah, and were it not for his scoring, I think 2 goals late on, you'd be viewing that as a kind of fortunate game. Hibs, we lost, terrible performance. We put that down to it being just after Munich, but terrible performance. I know the refereeing decision, etc. at the end, but it was a poor performance that day. Motherwell, we won 3-1, but I don't remember that being a particularly great performance. That was the one Jota scored late on in the game, wasn't great. We had Dundee 3-3, terrible performance against another team down the bottom of the league. Extremely fortunate not to lose that, should have lost that. We had Ross County 4-1, even that game, I remember that was 1-1 for a good period in the second half. Wasn't great, the pitch wasn't great in Dingwall, but it wasn't a good one. You've got Rangers away, don't need to say anything more about that at Ibrox, and the one before that was Dundee United. It was a 0-0 game just before Christmas when we were really poor. So it's like virtually every away game at the moment, and I know we won some of those matches, but the team have got a bit of an issue away from home in 2025, and it's pretty clear to me watching them that they feel the job is done for this season. They feel, and I think, without knowing for sure, I think possibly since Munich, since we went out of the Champions League, which was the big focus, rightly or wrongly for us as fans, the big focus was the Champions League this year. You know, obviously domestic stuff's still important, but we're all looking at the Champions League. And for the players as well, I think in the early part of the season, having the Champions League as it was kind of like a motivator for them, and it just kept everyone going. It was almost we were kind of riding the crest of the wave, and the wave was the Champions League, and the domestic games around it in the main we were playing really well. Remember we went to St Johnstone last time? I mean, compare the performance at McDiarmid Park earlier in the season before the Dortmund game where we scored 6 goals, just so much urgency to play, great passing, quick movement, great finishing. Compare that to today, and I just think the team have thought for a while that the job is done this season, and I kind of don't know how to get through to them. Obviously they're not watching me or whatever, but how do you get through to them and say the job isn't done? If you keep playing like this, you're in real danger of blowing the treble. Because you're playing St Johnstone in a cup semi. Okay, people probably think at Hampden in the cup, bit of jeopardy there, we'll get a better performance. We'll potentially win that game, but you've then maybe got a final against Hearts or Aberdeen, and we're not playing well at the moment, and you're in real danger of that. But even if you find a way to win the Scottish Cup, I just think, as I said earlier, this season is in danger of really petering out, and that's so disappointing, I think, when the effort that the team have put in throughout the season, that over the past couple of months, to be honest, a lot of people will say it's a lot longer than that. I think there's an argument that since Leipzig at home, which is a good 6 months ago, really, I think there's an argument the team haven't really ever hit their top level since then, which is worrying when you look at next season and stuff. As we say, Stevie, the context is, we're going to win the league, potentially still win the treble. I still back the team to win the treble, but it's just not fun watching this team at the moment.
No, you've hit the nail on the head when you say it's not fun. Like, you expect, Celtic to be an entertaining side with the players they've got at their disposal. The manager they've got, it's so-called elite. Like, put together a team that's capable of playing fast, free-flowing football, knows how to, kill a team, beat the press just with a couple of quick, simple, slick passing, and they can't do it. It's like they're scared to take a risk now. Like, when you see us away, it's like, a player that should only really have a move or a direct passage of play that can potentially only have 2 or 3 passes, when it turns into one where the players have maybe 7 or 8 passes. And Hatate and McGregor were horrific for it today. There was a moment where Hatate, I think, tried to play it through to AJ, and he ended up taking like 3 touches more than he should have. He ended up playing in AJ, and the ball was cut out. And we've seen that time and time again. And all it does is just let the other team regroup. St Johnstone must have just been rubbing their hands today when our midfielders got the ball. Engels, McGregor and Hatate. and instead of playing quick, incisive passing, balls over the top, all they did was just go side to side, and it went right out to the fullbacks. And if you're defending, if you get, it's already, if it was 0-0, for example, they're already probably rubbing their hands going, this is great for us. But when you're holding on to a 1-0 lead and you've got something to sit on, that's even more security. Like, there was just no intensity or urgency at all until the 70th minute, and I just found that galling today. I really did, and a lot of it now is reminding me a lot of 06-07, Hamish, after we went out against Milan. Like, we put all our efforts into that Champions League campaign, and we're so unlucky in the last 16 game against AC. Went out with a Kaká wonder goal. The rest of the season, from like March onwards, was a slog. It really was. I go on about it a lot because I went to 90% of games home and away that season. And honestly, it was one of my least favourite Celtic seasons there is. And yeah, we still won a double, and people say, oh, how can you moan about that? I remember the 90s, blah, blah. But the fact is, just like I'm saying now, it wasn't entertaining. Like going to games, spending like over 30 odd quid. And at times, you're just like honestly fighting sleep. And a lot of that today, like the fans must have gone there.
How many fans do we have there? 3 stands paying, I think, was it 32 quid a ticket or something?
Aye, well, my uncle was there as well, so I can't text him. He won't give me an answer. He'll be too raging now. But it will be over 30 quid, Hamish, and fans must have been there going, we're only starting to get a grip. Like when St Johnstone's fitness levels will go down. And that was the thing for me as well. See, at 70 minutes when we started playing better, again, you can say it was maybe down to the subs and about us maybe finally like up the tempo. But St Johnstone were knackered as well. Like, that should have been the case for the first minute. We should have looked to be breaking them down, and so the amount of goals I've seen St Johnstone concede this season as well, Hamish, through direct play, and Celtic seem to think they're above it. There's Hibs got a goal at Ibrox yesterday with a measured ball that's for defence right over the top. We've got a player in Dysamaida that thrives on it, but again, we just refuse to do it. There was plenty of times I saw Maeda making a run whenever I launched a ball over the top, and St Johnstone have been weak against that this season. I've seen them concede to Hearts, St Mirren, Motherwell, just with a basic long ball through the top because our centre-halves can't deal with it. When it comes to Celtic, though, it's a joy because everything's played right in front of you and never behind you.
I mean, the big issue I'm having with us at the moment, and I do need to mention the pitch. It's not an excuse. I think it is a factor that the pitch did make it difficult for us. The pitch is terrible, and just as a side point, I just think the spectacle of that match is just dire. If you're putting that game on and you're seeing the St Johnstone, unnamed St Johnstone employee going around telling all the ball kids to slow down the play. I mean, it's the most Scottish football thing ever, and you see that pitch and the quality of the game. It just wasn't a great advert for Scottish football at all. But yeah, like the football we're playing is just so slow at the moment, and like there's just such a lack of control for what we're doing. And it was the same in the derby. Something that I really noticed in the derby was like there was no one ever just to take the ball and calm things down and move it on. And that was without McGregor in the team. And even with McGregor in the team today, it's like how many times we just pass the ball, straight to the opposition, or the pass isn't sharp enough, or like the movement in the Celtic team is just off a little bit. The amount of times with like a player would make a run and they just wouldn't be on the same wavelength as his teammate, and the ball would go behind him, and it just slowed the whole play down. And again, you compare that to the start of the season. Honestly, you compare it to that first performance at McDiarmid Park. And I know the pitch was better that night, but there was a vibrancy to our play and so many options, and it felt like we had so many like players, even players that weren't starting the game. There was so many off the bench who could come on and impact things, and now it just feels a little bit different. Having said that, I do think I'd be looking to make changes going forward. I think that's what Brendan Rodgers has to do. He needs to kind of bring in a couple of players and just freshen things up a bit, because I think that's the only way you get us going.
Yang system as well, though.
Yeah. Yang would be number one for me, Stevie. Like, so I'll let you come in a second. Just quickly, Yang I thought was great when he came on. And well done to him for playing on as well through what looked like a sore kind of injury in his elbow or arm or whatever. I thought Yang, the improvement from Yang coming on for Kuhn was seismic. Like, yeah. Kuhn at the moment is he just doesn't look interested. That one in the first half where he's at the back post to tap it in, and it's great defending, but he's just so half-hearted. Yang actually looks like he's ready to impress. I thought Jota was poor today. I thought James Forrest was much better when he came on. I know Forrest has to score that at the back post, and I'm not letting him away with that. He has to score it. But away from that, James Forrest I thought was excellent. He did so much more than Jota. I thought Adam Ida was pretty good when he came on as well. Like, the subs I felt were good, but get Yang in that team for Kelly next week. Get Paulo Bernardo in that midfield. I know he's not played often recently, but like Engels, God, like, just let that game pass him by. And I like these guys, Stevie. I like Kuhn. I like Engels. I like Jota. But like, you look at all of them recently, and I include Jota in that, and there's not very many great performances coming in from them.
It's just very stale now. That's the word, isn't it? It's stale. There's no originality.
Comfort zone and all of that.
Yeah. But there's one for you. Daizen Maeda scored 30 goals this season. Like, I wouldn't have taken him off, especially when St Johnstone are tiring. I know you said Dida played well when he came on. I personally think he created a couple of wee opportunities, but I thought the quality from him was poor. The output was bad. And when you watch Dida, there was a moment when I think he's got to get it across the goal. He hits it right into the keeper. But we see when he's playing, the head's down all the time, never looks up. And you're screaming for that ball to be fizzed across the goal. I think it's a tap-in, maybe for Yang or Forrest, but he flashes it right at the goalie, and it's just because the head's down constant. But Daizen Maeda probably finishes the one that James Forrest missed. And again, if you keep Daizen Maeda on, move them out. And by the way, I agree with Forrest. I like him, and I think this season, he's been fine, and certainly that injury came at a bad time for him. But Daizen Maeda, if he's on the park there. And I don't think you bring off a guy that scored 30 in a season, especially against a tiring side at the bottom of the league that have been prone to conceding late goals as well. Not just against us, but against St Mirren, as I said, and other sides in the league. So when we're applying all that pressure on, Maeda would have been perfect at that opportunity if he plays out on the left. Scratching my head when he went off, but I don't know what else to really say on it. Honestly, it's.
Are you worried? Like, how worried are you? Like, see about like next season, for example. Does it feel like when football matters again, and it really matters next season, start of the season, etc. Do you feel like we'll be kind of over this, or do you feel like concerned that like this might be? Because remember Brendan Rodgers' first time at the club and third season, end of the second season, start of the third, things definitely suffered a bit. Is that a genuine fear for you, or is it, not to give the players an excuse, but is it just simply that like the league is done and they're really struggling to get themselves up for games like this? I'm not saying that's acceptable in any way, but is it a reason for these performances?
I don't know. There's just not an edge there. There's just no edge whatsoever in a play, and it's almost like they're phoning it in. But again, the manager's got to be able to motivate them. The manager's got to be able to deal with it, and I don't buy it that these players I don't buy it as an excuse at all. I'm sorry, I just don't. I know you're not condoning it, by the way, but I just don't think that's an option, especially when a lot of these players in Ange Postecoglou's second season, like they were featuring there, Jota, AJ, CCV, Maeda, and we were so far ahead in Ange's second season too, but the intensity was never let up until we won the league, and then of course you saw the levels dipping a wee bit. But again, look, see, when the league's won, after that, you're never going to get 100%. It happens all the time. Like, you'll see energy levels going down and they'll play within themselves, but nothing's been won yet so far. They should have been going all out, busting a gut to win that game today. And again, for me, the attitude was just stinking from it. But now, earlier, you were talking about he's got to change something and it's got to be players, and I agree with that, but I think that, I don't think he's going to do it, but I think that system needs to change too, because if a team like St Johnstone, bottom of the table, are able to see how predictable we are, then Hearts or Aberdeen and that, if we do make the final and then other games coming up after that, it's like they're going to be seeing the way we play and maybe rubbing their hands going, they're very easy to figure out. He needs to think of a plan B now. I don't know what Rodgers' plan B is. Don't think he's ever had one. The only plan B I think we've seen this season was after the fans went mental after the 7-1 in Dortmund. He switched it up against Atalanta. He was more pragmatic, and that worked for him. And we gave him plenty of praise here. But you don't need to be pragmatic against teams when you're heavy favourites in the league, like this is a chance to be more aggressive tactically, and he's just not switched anything up at all. And when I saw my head again off today, I was just bewildered because I would have kept him on. But he's got to figure something out because, as you say, man, there's going to be a lot of fans going in now next week and after that. And it should be a time for celebration where we're looking forward to going to the games. But now it's just going to feel like very much. It's like a, all right.
It's like an anticlimax, isn't it?
Right, and people are going to probably come in and people are going to say spoiled, entitled, and that's fine if you want to think that. I've lived through enough crap that, I'm only spoiled and entitled, but I want to be, as I say, entertained by Celtic, and right now they're just not entertaining enough. They're not playing good football, and again, the lack of intensity is just making for some very chronic watching, I must say.
Yeah, it was an unacceptable performance, and just to add to that, like you're talking about like an edge there. I actually thought after the result at Ibrox yesterday, I was pretty confident that you would see a big performance and certainly a victory for Celtic today. I just felt like going into this weekend, and I spoke about it yesterday morning's video, it would have been really like hoping that we could win the league before this semi-final, because if you don't win it next week, you're then talking another fortnight after that before you can potentially win it. You're looking at like the end of April, and then yesterday we got this massive bonus of Rangers losing again at Ibrox, and knowing that over the next 7 days, basically, today and next Saturday, we could win the league and also win it at Celtic Park. As I say, we haven't done that. It's been a weird quirk that it's always seemed to be away from home, and we had that opportunity going into today. And people can debate how important it actually is. Obviously, the main thing is winning it, and we're going to still win the league. But doing it at Celtic Park next Saturday would have been an amazing experience. The stadium full. We've not had that in a while, winning the league at Celtic Park. And the team, I thought, would have been really motivated by that to go and do it in style. And for whatever reason, they just really struggled. And you're now looking at next Saturday as just one that you need to try and win, and then potentially see on Sunday. Just if anyone's wondering, for us to win the league next week, we have to beat Kelly, and Rangers have to lose away to Aberdeen, which could well happen. But if it does happen, it's going to come as a result of us not even playing. So, yeah, grand scheme of things, Stevie, things could be a lot worse. We're still on for the treble. We're still going to win the league. But I'm just a bit fed up of Celtic kind of looking like they're going through the motions at the moment.
Yeah.
I'll give you your final comment and then we'll head.
No, you just nailed it up. I'm the same, fed up too. And again, I want to say to people, it's not entitlement. Again, I want to say to people, you want to see these players giving 100%, and the manager, motivating them properly, and we're just not seeing it now. And at times, to be honest with you, some players have been frankly unprofessional for me. I'm not going to single them out, but there's a couple that I just feel just look as if they don't want to be here. And that's, again, something the manager's going to have to deal with. But I said last week, remember I said last week after Hearts 3-0, that 10 minutes of good football that pretty much blew them away. And then there was a second half of total mundane football. That's what we saw, again, an extension of that today. And I said to you from the Emirates when I did that video, I said, hopefully that performance against Rangers was a one-off and we don't repeat that. And, at times today it was worse, that match against Rangers, because at least against Rangers we created something. Like today, taking until 20 minutes to go until the team at the bottom of the league, who have been miserable all season, were tiring until we actually got our act together, for me is completely unacceptable. So I'm not going to say hopefully we don't get a repeat of it, because that looks as if it will jinx it, and who knows. Here we go, we're up against Kelly next week, who are fighting for their lives as well. So who knows how that will go. I mean, you'd expect a win, but we're a Celtic side now. Are they professional enough for it? Time will tell.
Yeah, as I said earlier, you just don't want this season to end with a bit of an anticlimax and whatever. So yeah, just feel a wee bit flat, to be honest, because I think we all want this to be remembered as one of the most memorable seasons following Celtic. But for that to happen, the team need to finish the season strongly. Anyway, that'll do us for now. Pretty raw reaction. Clearly, both of us not particularly happy. As I keep saying, context says we're going to win the league. We're in with a chance of winning the treble. But watching Celtic right now isn't particularly fun on the whole, certainly away from home. Stevie, thank you. We'll catch up with you very soon. Thanks everyone for watching. Let us know what you made of the game, talking points, etc. And I'll tackle all them, let's say tomorrow.